That voice right there is the voice of choice. It's our featured guest today on Woman to Woman Wednesday.
Woo-hoo.
Okay, Heather B, can you explain the concept behind this? It actually originated on your show.
Yes, Woman to Woman Wednesday originated on the Happy Hour with Heather B. Of course, you can hear it Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time on Sirius XM Fly Channel 50. And I created this segment to celebrate women who are doing amazing things that may not always be on the mainstream or may not always be on everyone's radar, but they should be. They're making moves locally and then making moves nationally and then internationally. And so it's an amazing opportunity for women everywhere to be a part of this segment. And I'm so glad it is now here on the Sway in the Morning Show as well.
Absolutely. And I'm very appreciative and happy to have one of our first guests for Women to Women Wednesday in studio.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. When I think of this person, I often reflect about my beginnings and my past coming up as an artist in the 80s. King Tech and I were putting out music independently.
Yep.
And at that time, we were looking up to a lot of people like MC Hammer, like Too Short, some of the folks who came in and did it before us. And when people were making music back then in the Bay Area, it was kind of a phenomenon that we had local people who were doing things that, big stars would do. You never thought that, somebody like Too Short, who I used to see on the bus, running up Foothill, would become the person he is today. MC Hammer, I used to see at a club called Crosswinds, and they used to dance in the middle of the dance floor. We all get excited locally about him, and then he becomes one of the biggest artists that music has ever seen. And then there are people who are behind the scenes that actually help these people become who they are, and equally we're impressed with what it is they're able to do and how they're able to navigate. But when you're a woman coming up in Northern California at that time in the 80s, when you think about the climate back then, this was when the drug game was popping, a lot of misogyny was there, a lot of machismo. It was a volatile environment. And if you were a woman, it was probably 5 to 10 times as hard to make it. But our guest today, first time I found out about her, was on a song that she was featured on with Too Short. And I thought it was really interesting because I always thought, who is this person? Because her rap style was a little different. I was like, it's a little more advanced, and I really enjoyed her flow. She, at that time, I believe, was a member of a group, Danger Zone, right? It was she and a young lady named Barbie. I remember this, and
Nicki Minaj.
This is before Nicki, Lil Kim. This was before Fox. All of them, this was pre-Heather B, right? Cash Doll, all of that. She was already doing what we see a lot of women doing today. And then she began to expand her palette when it came to the industry. I think you find out sometimes how you start is not always how you're going to end up.
Facts.
And she became an influencer, a talent innovator. She became an agent. She became an executive. She became a comedy executive as well. She's been responsible for working with some of the biggest names in the business, whether it's Shaquille O'Neal. That deserves a round of applause.
He's a citizen.
Shaq.
What up, Shaq?
Big goat.
Whether it's Nick Cannon, a Wildin' Out. Come on, man.
Hell of a franchise. One of the longest now on MTV.
Right. Whether it's Luenell. We recently saw Luenell at the Apollo. She had a lot to do with why Luenell was at the Apollo. And she has another event coming up in December. And then we also have All-Star Weekend coming up in the Bay early 2025. She will be in the DNA of all of these things. And I'm really proud of her and impressed by the journey she has and she continues to do. I want to welcome her back to the show. Please give it up for the one and only Tamra Goins.
Hey!
Is in here.
T! What up, T?
Thank you. Queen Goins.
Come on, man. When why I like to do that? Because you and I see each other all the time, and you probably think, you never remember me, but it's not true. I know your work, and when there's people who come from where we come from and are able to break out of the box, so to speak, and then plant these seeds around the country and around the world the way you have, it should be recognized because you know how it is in the Bay. You need that representation to help fuel you, to let you believe that you could get outside of that Bay and do these same things. So I want to say congratulations to you, Tamra.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Did you grow up in the Bay?
Yep.
What part of the Bay?
East Oakland, 82nd and MacArthur. Went to Parker Elementary. Then my mom said,
I got to get you out of here.
Oh, really?
So she took me so I went to middle school in San Ramon and Danville.
Okay.
And then came back to Hayward High and graduated from San Leandro. But all East Oakland.
East Oakland. So just get Danville, that area is more of the outskirts of the city.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So in that, for folks, just to give people context, it's kind of like you want to move there to get your kids away from the suburbs.
Yeah,
you don't want your kids hanging out in these streets.
It's like, you will not be a dope dealer baby mama.
Okay, all right. And then you end up coming back, though, to the East Bay, right?
I graduated from San Jose State,
Uh-huh.
where I met your brother.
You met my brother, San Jose. Okay.
And while I was there, Jeff Clanagan heard that the girls that did Don't Fight the Feeling with Too Short were at San Jose State, and that's how I met him. And Jeff Clanagan, as you know, is an executive at Heartbeat with Kevin Hart, and largely responsible for Kevin's explosion.
Absolutely. So Jeff Clanagan also was a manager early on. He used to work with people like MC Twist, and he did a lot of independent projects that come up. Jeff Clanagan is one of those. He did a lot of films too, right?
Right, and created Shaq All-Star.
And created Shaq All-Star.
With Shaq, yeah.
From the South Bay, San Jose area of Northern California. Another person I recall as we were coming up, we'll see these people adjacent to us doing different things, right?
Woo Baby parties.
Woo
He was
Baby.
a promoter, bringing NWA to Oakland.
Yeah. What did he want with you guys? Because you were on this song. Don't Fight the Feeling was a song Too Short put out.
Yes.
Right?
On his platinum album, Life is Too Short.
Uh-huh.
He had a record label at the time, so he was had MC Twist, and I guess had aspirations of having a girl group since we were right there. And so he gave me a contract. I took it to an attorney, and the attorney said, "Don't sign that."
Really? Did he say why?
It was, it was just a terrible music contract that, even with Don't Fight the Feeling, we were two little 16-year-old girls that wrote, our parts on this song, and we were given $800 a piece on an album that ultimately went platinum.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, so it's like...
No
and
publishing?
we were happy.
Yeah.
No publishing. And so what's interesting is now we're actually having the conversation about having that publishing return to us. And Short and I, we're cool. It's like, it's just a grown-up conversation. And it's more about moving forward because there was recently a movie, Freaky Tales, that was, paying homage to Short.
Is it an autobiographical movie? Okay.
No, it's it actually is a director from Oakland that, directed Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Ryan Fleck and Anna Bowden. They're a directing team. And so it's their love letter to Oakland, but it's more like kind of Kill Bill. And so you think it's, when you say Freaky Tales and Short's producing, then you think it's going to be autobiographical. I mean, autobiography.
Yeah.
But it debuted at Sundance. Actually, Entice and Barbie were one of the 4 short Freaky Tales in the movie.
Okay.
That comes together. So it's really about, this. There's a lot of, it's more like a Kill Bill sci-fi kind of movie. Debuted at Sundance, and Normani depicted me. And Dominique Thornton from Black Panther 2 depicted Barbie, my cousin, Bailey Brown.
Bailey Brown. This is interesting. So is that episode, is that a...
It's a feature.
A feature.
It's a feature that was produced by Macro.
Okay.
With Charles King and those guys over there. And but it doesn't have distribution yet.
Okay.
So, but it debuted at Sundance, and what was interesting with that is on the first night of Sundance, I'm on the red carpet as talent. And then the next night of Sundance, I'm on the red carpet representing David Allen Greer, because he had, in his Sundance film, I can't even say, it's like Magical Negroes. I can't remember what it was. But this one photographer was like, "Weren't you here yesterday?" So
they recognized.
Yeah, it was just interesting that, there's this whole duality of, having been an artist and then having that full circle moment with the song and the opportunity that opened every entertainment door for me. And shout out to, Short.
Too Short for that,
Yeah,
right?
for
Don't
sure.
fight the feeling, right?
Absolutely.
So you jump on this track, right? You and Barbie, right?
Mhm.
And you get paid your $800. You think you popping, you think
Right.
you balling. Probably went to Eastmont Mall and spent it.
You are balling back then for that. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
was-
All right,
that was a whole
okay,
year's
all
worth of
right,
lunch.
all right, okay. And then you decide that you probably, I'm assuming, go against all your mother's wishes and pursue this entertainment game.
No, I
Okay.
went to college.
Okay.
Upward Bound saved my life. I think, after 8th grade, Barbie's mom, my Aunt Jeanette, she always was putting us in something. So she put us in Upward Bound, but we went prior to high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed at Cal State Hayward, now Cal State East Bay, for 6 weeks in co-ed dorms with 22-year-olds running the program, if you can imagine
Wow.
that. And but the thing that it showed me was college before high school. So by the time I got to high school, I was like, let me hurry up and get through this so I can get to college,
What is Upward Bound for anyone who's unfamiliar?
Upward Bound is a program for at-risk teens, and they even had one guy that instead of going to jail, they put him in Upward Bound. So it was a mix of at-risk teens, and they put you in college courses. And so, like my first, in 8th grade, I got 3 units at Cal State Hayward, with a C in accounting. That actually was transferable when I got to San Jose State. So,
Okay.
yeah, but I think that, just having that it's all about exposure and showing kids, outside of the boundaries, especially of Oakland, because there are people that haven't been beyond those boundaries right now. So.
Wow, I love this. Tamra Goins is with us, and for so many reasons. So you went to San Jose State, right? And eventually you graduated from San Jose State.
Well, while I was at State, Jeff Clanagan, I
Okay.
started managing a jazz club called Club Jazz. And he came and he said, I want to bring comedy here on Thursdays. And I said, okay. He said, you don't have to ask anybody. I said, I'm the manager, even though I was only 21.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, if you can manage a club, you can manage a concert, it's just bigger. And I said, okay. And so he would do these New Year's Eve parties at the convention center or New Year's Eve concerts at the convention center.
Wait, hold up. They were huge, though.
They were huge. Yeah.
Like thousands of people
Yes.
would come. Like it was hard to get into these parties. Go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, let me
So
put it
they're, Isley Brothers, Lakeside, depending, either if it was old school or new, whatever. And so I started working with him doing those parties. Once I graduated, moved back to Oakland. Next thing I know, he put me on the road with the Isley Brothers. I'm 23 years old as a promoter rep. So, just young out with all these grown ass men on the road. But it's like, I think coming from Oakland, that gave me the grit. It's like, you never know that adversity, creates character and really prepares you for everything that, is coming in your journey. So, and you can't unbake the cake. So when I say I'm proud to be from Oakland,
Yeah.
it's all of it. It's, every piece of it has prepared me for this faith walk and this purpose walk that I'm doing right now.
Yes. Can you give an example when you were 23 and you were a part of that tour? What adversity from your past helped you in that present moment?
That's a really good question. What's funny, and I was just talking about this last night, is that there was an instant when I had a Me Too movement. A Me Too experience with an NFL player that will remain nameless.
Okay.
But the thing is that it ended up, he did not physically harm me, but because he betrayed my trust, that set me up to protect myself while I was on the road with, in these very different experiences. So even for that, you can find forgiveness. You can find, it's like when you can see the why, and that thing that seemed so terrible at the time really prepared me for what my path was, and I'm sure saved me from something that could have been like really horrific. And so I didn't have that and as a result, I have grit, I have respect. It's like, don't come to my room, don't ask me nothing. You stay over there. Because after the Isley Brothers, it was HBO Def Comedy Jam.
Oh my God.
And so, it was like, when you look in retrospect, then I know that my steps were being ordered this whole time.
Amen.
I love this. Tamra Goins is here. What about in terms of your skill set? What was it? Because you were managing a club at 21.
You know what's
What-
crazy? What's crazy?
Wait, how did
about,
you learn this? I'm like, what?
What's crazy about the club at 21? When I took that contract to an attorney, Kurt Robinson, he took me under his wing, and here it was. This, young. My friends when I was 19 were these 30 to 35-year-old upwardly mobile black men, and this man was an attorney, and he was from Notre Dame, and he also was in the sports industry as a sports agent. And so he put together this club. It was owned by Ronnie Lott, Keena Turner, Eric Wright, and Charles Haley. And they hired me, but I wasn't really all the way to age yet.
Okay.
And so
Did they know that? Okay.
And they said, "You're not gonna get no tips because you got an attitude." But I turned around and I ended up being server of the year. Well, this manager that they brought in, he was. I told them that he was on something. And they said, "Look, girl, we've been friends longer than you've been alive. He's a Notre Dame graduate, blah, 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 blah." And lo and behold, he was a pharmaceutical rep prior to being the manager, and he had to leave. And so because I was the only one who knew, then they made me the manager.
Because you had a keen sense about things.
And
right?
I had done everything in it.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of our kids, I think, skip these jobs because they want to be the leader off top. But when you learn how to, clean the bathroom, when you learn how to set the tables, when you learn how to order the inventory, I couldn't even order a wine cooler at a liquor store, and I'm doing the hiring, the firing, I'm doing the alcohol order. All of those things, if you take the one step, you'll find that at the end you're so much more prepared than if you were skipping.
Absolutely.
And so that has really been my journey.
And you know how to speak to more people as well, how to better effectively communicate because you understand what it's like to be in their
And
position.
what their job is.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Right.
I love this, man. We're going to come back and talk more with Tamra Goins. This is our Women to Women Winning Wednesday. Okay, she's our star today.
Yes.
All right. What's your social media if people want to reach out to you?
I am TGO1225.
TGO1225.
On Instagram, and then my name, Tamra Goins, on Facebook.
And if you tuning in, paying close attention, I've heard about 5 gems already that she's dropping,
Right.
which I can appreciate, and that's why we do this segment. We coming right back. Shade 4-5. Tamra Goins is here. When you look at her bio, comedy executive, producer, influencer, talent innovator, business leader, talent agent to some of the world's leading actors and comedians. Over 25 years of experience in artist representation, show production, branding, and deal making. She's known for producing and promoting Shaquille O'Neal's All-Star Comedy Jam, amongst other things. Jeez, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about all of this? When I mean,
Blessed.
right?
Blessed.
Yeah.
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 I remember waking up 38, dead-end job, loveless marriage, living in the middle of Texas in a beautiful home, in a nice life, but lacking purpose. And I said, if I can give 2 people 5 years of my life that didn't deserve it, i.e. ex-husbands, then I could certainly give myself 5 and see what God has for me.
Yeah.
And I was a talent agent. I was a Hollywood agent in 3.5 years with any aspiration to be so.
Wow, that's amazing. Round of applause.
Sheesh.
2 relationships. What was it difficult to be in the business and married?
I wasn't. I left the
Oh, you
business for
left
like
your-
15 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you left your thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, the business kind of kicked us out. I think when I was on tour with the HBO Def Comedy Jam, we went into 2 cities,
Yeah.
and it wiped Jeff out. Like, he was a young 30-something. I think we probably lost like 80 grand in a weekend. So he went corporate. I went corporate. He went, and that's when he met Master P and started doing the movies and whatnot with him.
Yeah.
So he went on the e-commerce and the distribution and the filmmaking side. I became an NFL wife, had some kids, went on my journey, circled back to him in this moment in 2010, and he had created Shaq All-Star. And so then I was back. And even for that reason, people are like, where'd she come from? But I took that hiatus, which I'm happy about because as an agent, not many women agents have children. because there's no time for you to take off and be a mom and save your spot when you're representing people, because we're responsible for people feeding their families. So there traditionally hasn't been that, a space to do so. So there are very few women agents that have children.
Have you worked with any agents that have children?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Very few.
It's just, but it's also, and T, I'm so glad you're here. We talk so much, and we've talked a lot and stuff. So I've always been appreciative of her sharing so much on and off like cameras, because we talk on the phone as well. But I think we also share that in common with female artists, and I said this to T before. There was a time coming up in this industry where, as a female artist, kids were like taboo. It's like you can't go on tour, you can't get no money. If you get pregnant, then you lose out on all of that money. Nobody wanted to see you out there like that, so it's a decision. And then, hey, what if you do fall in love and you do meet somebody, and to T's point, you 38 years old, or you reaching a certain age in life now, and if your body can even sustain a pregnancy, because now they tell you, especially with Black and brown women, about high risk, and you start hearing all these different things about it, and then it becomes this work-life balance thing, and then you're a mom, but you feel bad leaving your kids. So this conversation needs to be had specifically on Woman to Woman Wednesdays, because it's so many women in these industries where not having children, or waiting later on to have children, or leaving the industry to raise your family, it takes a lot from you. It just does. So I salute you and applaud you, because I know, if nothing else, you go extremely hard for your beautiful children. You do.
I have three children, Aaliyah, Elijah, and Jordan. And I think transparently, COVID showed me, because everything came to a stop, right?
Yeah.
And so what can be bad actually allowed me to see my youngest daughter, Jordan.
Yeah.
And then I was able to identify what my oldest two probably needed that I wasn't available for. And so my success definitely came at their sacrifice,
Wow.
Yeah, because you don't get the time back.
Yeah.
You miss birthdays. You miss, I'm on tour with Snoop. I'm on tour with Martin Lawrence. I got to get the money, but then it's a birthday. It's a graduation. It's a this. It's a all of these things, and you constantly fight yourself.
We had Malcolm Washington speak to being raised by his beautiful parents, Pauletta and Denzel
Washington.
And somebody asked about. I think I might have asked a question about him growing up as a father. What was it?
Him growing up in that household with his father not being. Yeah.
And he talked about my father worked.
Right.
Yeah.
He did thousands of movies.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times he couldn't be there because he worked, right? And so I definitely, and then that's how I have experienced the same thing with my daughter.
Think of how much you've traveled, and that you still travel, but you made an effort when you could.
When I could, but
to go back and forth. But listen, that's not an easy thing.
And there can be more leniency sometimes on the male, because when you think of gender roles and your ultimate responsibility being to provide so that you can rationalize, justify, but
it's easier
for the
to send
woman,
money.
when you think of a homemaker, it's not the image of a man.
I definitely needed a wife.
Yeah.
I told Tracy G the other day I need a girlfriend. I'm like, yo,
and my homie just texted me he need a rich wife.
It's just,
I do too.
It's just things that
Oh, that was me. Oh, that was shit.
Yeah, you tell on yourself. FYI, Sway needs a rich wife. Only women of a certain salary should apply.
Women winning Wednesday. Emphasis on the winning.
Because here's the thing: even when you're a parent, it doesn't matter. I would fly my mom in, my stepmom, my sisters. I didn't bring strangers in to watch my kids. But it's still not that co-parent that you can just, that you're on the same page in terms of everything with their growth and, what you want for them. And so it doesn't matter how many nannies or whatever that you hire. It's still not the same if it's not, that the person you made them with,
Cash Doll just spoke about this the other day. Remember,
Indeed.
she
Yeah,
was
she
talking
Cash
about
Doll
being
this-
a female artist today and her 2 kids. And, at least now it's more welcome and acceptable seeing women, female artists with their children and pregnant, and people celebrate it. But there was a time, to T's point, absolutely.
Tamra, you mentioned earlier that growing up in Oakland in that environment, ups and downs, pitfalls and triumphs, you wouldn't change anything about it, right?
Nothing.
What about parenting? Now that you know, in retrospect, that that if I work more, I'll spend less time with my children. What would you have done? Would you do it differently?
I don't know. I mean, standing where I'm at now, I would probably say no. And then I'm like, my absence can just be my kids' adversity for them to go be great.
There you go, right?
Yo,
You can't.
that's real. And utilize the technology. FaceTime them kids.
Because here's the other thing is that I shielded my children from everything that made me dope.
Yeah.
Thinking not giving enough respect to the adversity and the environment that creates this, this fire or this survival. And then we watch our kids, we protect them and we put them in these little rooms. And then, we expect them to be able to survive. How? They
Yeah.
never had no reps.
No adversity.
As soon as
They
it
never
rained,
had reps.
as soon as it rained, they start crying.
Exactly.
Yo, get an umbrella.
So
Or
we have
get wet.
And
Or
the thing
get
is
wet.
by the time you've done it, you can't go back. So you've
Yeah.
already ruined them. So I probably
Oh,
should have sent my kids to Oakland for the summer.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
So we used to bring little Kiyomi to Oakland. That's why I would do it. Like,
Yeah.
because my daughter grew up in a gated community in
Yeah.
L.A. Now I'm
Yeah.
saying, oh, come see your father's side.
Yeah.
See, this is where, you
need
what
a
we
fighter
going.
too.
You need a fighter. And so she's become that fighter.
That's very
This is an
real.
amazing story, by the way. We talked about Jeff Clanagan, and you mentioned how Jeff, when Master P really started catapulting his brand, and it wasn't just the music, it was when he got into the movie scene, independent movie
He
scene.
branched out,
Jeff
yeah.
Clanagan was that partner with him that helped produce all of those movies,
Yes.
right? We talked about Shaquille O'Neal. So Jeff was the liaison to your relationship with Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes.
But Shaquille too is one of the, probably one of the most successful moguls we've seen of this generation. If
Yep.
we peel back his portfolio, you see how many companies he's invested in, so on and
Yes.
so forth. What is that dynamic? What has that dynamic been like with Shaq? What have you learned from him?
I mean, this dude stays relevant. This dude is such a multi-hyphenate, and as an agent of multi-hyphenates, it just really opens your mind to the different things people can do, right?
Mhm.
So right now, I work with T.I. and I work with Tisha Campbell separately.
What do you do for them?
So I rep them in comedy.
Okay.
So T.I.
Wow.
is a stand-up.
Oh my God!
That's
Yeah, that's
T.I.
right.
is a stand-up. And now Tisha Campbell is a stand-up.
Perfect.
She, and so I just, matter of fact, she called me while I was in the green room. And so it's like helping them to flex or to develop another muscle
Okay.
that's, a part of them, and taking them on that journey is part of what I do.
Uh-huh.
And so I think watching Jeff be able to do that on the marketing side and the development side, and then having Shaq as that example, it just shows me that it's possible and that people can be more than one thing.
Yep.
What would you say is the core difference between an agent and a manager?
So the line is really, the manager is supposed to lay out the strategy, collect all the assets, make sure they have all the pictures and the reels, and help them to figure out the trajectory of their career. They should bring that into the agency for us to put them at bat. So the agency is a lot more transactional, where we can take those things that they desire and make them reality. For instance, with Luenell, she
Shout out to Luenell.
Always.
She's a
Luenell.
comedy. She's a comedy icon.
Got that from her.
Come on, Soul Beat. All right.
And Lunell is so communicative. She wanted a residency in Vegas. She got it. She's
Yeah.
a Jimmy Kimmel in Vegas every Sunday and Monday.
But did you help her get that?
Yes.
How? What did you
I
do?
brokered that deal. So
Okay.
when the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club opened up, I had a relationship with Damian Costa, and he called me first. And so that was one of the first people that we put in. And because I knew that she wanted that residency, then we brokered that deal.
Wow.
So do both the manager and the agent, with a deal like that, they both get a cut? Or
Yes.
is it only the agent? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What is
do.
the standard rates, would you say?
Typically, it's 10% for the agent, 10% for the manager, and 5% for the attorney, if there's an attorney involved.
Okay, so that's 25% of
From
your
the
check.
rip.
From the
Yeah,
rip.
from the rip.
Off the top. That ain't even your
Gross.
taxes. Yeah, gross. That's
Yeah.
not
Gross.
even your taxes.
Yeah.
That's not your net.
Yeah.
But, it's how you get ahead, right? It's the price you pay to get those things.
And it's a lot easier for the managers and agents to do the talking than the artists or the
Yeah.
or the
You
talent.
want that, yeah.
So to
Yeah.
And the information, I think that the internet has really made, representation work for their money, though, because if you think about prior to the internet, all the information came into the agency and they could give it to who they wanted at will.
Finesse it, yeah.
Right. They could decide who that opportunity was going to, even if it came in for somebody else. Now with all the connectivity, they can get to the talent directly. So like for me, I don't care if a deal comes in that's disrespectful. They want $1,000 for this. Bill Bellamy, you need to know this because his grandma might be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So so now I think that you just have to really treat the talent that they're the CEO of their companies. Let them have all the information so they can decide. You give them, what you think, but you don't make the decision for them or, shift deals or, put somebody else in place. When I think it really holds the agency accountable.
One last point before we wrap. Remember, Chris Spencer was here, and he spoke about that. A lot of times, talent don't even know about opportunities that come.
He did say
because
that.
people don't, the agents or the managers don't give them the information.
Right.
So it's nice to hear that no matter what, you let the talent decide what you want to do with that. But it's my responsibility to give you that information because he found out that so many
His
artists
homies
was not even getting the information, which is sad.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to Luenell for a second because I don't want to let the Luenell moment pass.
Right.
Because her wanting to do Vegas, and she told us that was always her dream. And we came to the show she did at the Apollo.
Which was,
right?
wow.
It was always
Which was her bucket list.
Yes.
That was her bucket list. And it took me 6 months, and then we got that on the books, and it happened.
You the shit, man.
Yes, you
Get
are.
her,
Damn, Tamra.
You're not even a fart.
And so, so tell me about All Star. This is big for the Bay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, first, and let's not forget Luenell. So her next bucket list was to headline the Paramount Theater.
And that's
And that is December 27th at
Uh-huh.
the Paramount Theater in Oakland. And
She-
and the thing is that she's only played there. Being from Oakland, she's only played there 3 times and never by herself. So this is a really big moment for her. And because she says it, it can happen.
It will happen.
No, it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happened,
right?
right.
And you're gonna be right there,
Yep.
right?
And then for All Star, for Valentine's Day, we got All Star Comedy Jam at the Paramount Theater.
Oh, snap.
It's being hosted by Bill Bellamy. DC Youngfly is on the show.
Yes.
Michael Blackson, Coco Brown, and Gary Owen. And so that's our All Star Comedy Jam is coming to the Bay.
Yo, my ticket plug is crazy.
Crazy.
I'm so glad we family.
Greedy.
What you got going on in New York right now, T?
Yeah, man.
I always got something going on. And I have Jinx Monsoon from RuPaul's Drag Race playing Carnegie Hall on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So how do you manage all of these different personalities? Where do you find the time? Can you
My
ever?
degree's in criminal justice. I don't know.
Oh shit! All right, I don't know the
profiler.
correlation to that, but
I was a
entertainers,
profiler.
criminals.
No,
you was a profiler,
it's
so you can read the personality.
It's a profiler.
Yeah.
They're all so different. It's
Wow.
all I have a team of about 14 people now. And within the agency, we've doubled our productivity in the comedy department since I took over. I've been a managing partner since 2017.
And that's with
Innovative artists.
Innovative artists
in Santa Monica.
in Santa Monica, right?
And we have an office in New York as well.
So making you a managing partner, that gives you equity in the company.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
Listen,
Get him, T.
I'm a unicorn. I am the only Black person with an equity position in this comedy space
Oh, shit.
when it comes to
Period.
mid-level or the big agencies.
And she didn't separate through gender. She said black person.
Hello.
Wow.
Ooh.
I love it.
It sounds crazy saying it. You know, it's just like it reminds me of when, you know, in the NFL when there were no black coaches.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah, and you the first.
And no black owners.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
You see why we wanted to have you here? Come on, man. I want to say thank you. I know my brother and Tamra went to school together, and they're great friends. And I like to think we're friends, too. But y'all have a whole nother, type of relationship.
San Jose State.
San Jose State, the whole nine. But I've always, especially since you came up 2012, and to see you just navigate the business. I know it ain't easy, especially when we coming from Northern California, because the business wasn't in there. It was in L.A., it was in New York, so we had to create our own business with
That's
independent
true.
ways. Hence Jeff Flanagan,
Yes.
right? Hence Too Short, everybody Sway and Tech. I always throw myself in the
Facts.
time I
Facts,
got
though.
to. All right, and so I want to say thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Shout out to Sigma Gamma Rho Incorporated, my
Okay.
sorority.
Okay.
Again, we're raising money for a coat drive that we've been doing for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Teamed up with Mr. Fab during his turkey giveaway.
Shout out to Fab.
Shout out to Fab. Shout out to EOYDC, East
Mhm.
Oakland Youth Development Center, where I learned how to fight. So,
Okay. EOYDC.
so
Okay.
give back to them. So that's in December. When I think about all the things that I'm involved in, I'm just thankful for the opportunity to come on and talk with you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Like anytime, because people need to hear your story.
Absolutely.
Tremendously inspirational. I'm
Yes.
looking at you like, damn, and I've known her for years. But congratulations. Write the book. The
And
how-to.
And I have a restaurant opening.
What?
I
Of
invested
course
in a
you do.
restaurant in Atlanta, P25, and it opens on Monday.
Wow.
Wow.
Peachtree and 25th Street.
Okay. Congratulations. That's a difficult business, but you got it. Is T.I. involved?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Shout out to Greg Thompson. It's Valerie Benning Thomas and Greg Thomas.
Okay.
Are you still taking clients?
Thompson. I'm sorry.
Are you?
I do.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, I do. It's when I first became an agent, there was 3 criteria. You had to own a home, you had to have children, and you couldn't have another job, because I knew you was gonna hustle as hard as me. Now it's a lot different, and I can take on more developmental clients because we build people for a living.
Yeah.
So
Why did they need to own a home?
because they got to pay a mortgage.
Put more.
Okay.
She wanted the pressure on you.
Okay. Okay. I ain't
The
mad at
pressure.
it. Tamra Goins. Give her a big round of applause,
Bye-bye.
man. Women to women will say
Woohoo!
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. God bless you. Shade 45.